Which side are you from?
I think I would be.
No, I don't mean.
So everyone enjoy dinner, and I will be back during dessert. And did everyone get a chance to take a look at that cake?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was willing to help us out on his free time, and did he do an amazing job or what? So I want to present to you a first edition signed book by, the book is General Stephen D. Lee by Herman Hathaway, first edition signed, University of Missouri Press. And then also a gift certificate because you spent a lot of time away this week from your lovely wife, Anne. So a gift certificate to the Boathouse Restaurant. How about a round of applause? Our fearless leader, Ed Bars, please come up to the podium again. What I have here for you is an original training manual for Civil War volunteers, the Soldier's Guide, a complete manual and drill book for the use of all volunteers, militia, and the Home Guard. This was issued in 1861. I shouldn't even be touching it, but I shouldn't be touching it. So I'm going to put it back in the I'm going to put it back in the plastic. But this is for you. And my soon-to-be husband insisted on this gift for you in addition. So I'll let him describe it because I do not know what he bought for you. we don't communicate very well.
It's good.
You've been drilling us the history of the Civil War for so many years, but you know, you're not wearing the right hat.
But my son ended up being a DI, not me. Yes, I've always been an ambition. DIs always have to have loud voices. I have a loud voice, but it didn't do me any good. If I can take it, my son must have had a louder voice. And it was always, if you ask a Marine that has been through boot camp, and whether he's 93 years old as I am, or if he would be 21 years old, they can always tell you your DI names. DIs we had were Sergeant Jack. Sergeant Jack, we didn't see much of him, because he was a bridegroom. So we always turned over the jobs to the two junior DIs, Avis and Crispin. Now those are because I've never seen, I always like, when two Marines get together, one of the two things they always say. First off, I'm a San Diego Marine, and I'm not in a PI, guy goes PI, always looks down on San Diego Marines, or Hollywood Marines. And they somewhat scar you because between World War I and II, there were a number of movies made on the Marine Corps, and they were always made in San Diego. San Diego was always looked as a poor facsimile of Paris Island. So one of the things I probably should have not let them bother me. I have never worn a pair of sunglasses in my life. Why? Because they always say, if you're a PI guy, wear your sunglasses. That is probably, and as I've gotten to be older, I probably would have not, I've probably been smarter not to carry out my fuse with sunglasses. My eyes would probably be better today. And so that's, because I say that's what all Marines can tell you there. Now, the interesting thing about Jack, besides he was a new bridegroom, when I was going through boot camp, was only the Navajos went to boot camp. They did not go to the Paris Island. And I know I was out there in the Navajo reservation, and I looked there, and there is Sergeant Jack's picture. With the first graduating class of Navajo called code talkers. So I knew I learned where Jack ended up. So it's very, I guess, you get real emotional on your DIs.
Can I tell you, I did have an inkling of what Mark wanted to buy for Ed, because he asked me to call Ed. Since I've been talking to Ed on a fairly regular basis, he asked me to call Ed to find out what hat size he wore. And so, can I tell you, I got the return call from the Dallas airport.
Really?
So Ed was in Dallas that day. And that's when he returned the call to tell me what hat size he wore. I also want to tell you, Ed and I spent Valentine's Day together. So I drove to his house in Arlington, Virginia, and we went over all the maps and the routes, and we went to Valentine's lunch. And can I tell you, he has a fan, he's got a fan club. This guy's a rock star in history circles. So we walk into a restaurant, and so people left and right are saying, "Hi, Ed. Hi, Ed." Ed didn't even look at him. He said hi back, but he was looking straight ahead. I mean, you were gracious, but people know Ed Barnes. That's all I can say in Arlington, Virginia, because you had a lot of hellos that day at our lunch. So thank you for all the time you spent with me to plan this tour.
This is a wonderful tour. I always enjoy this Chicago Round Table tour. When they come to roster, I will crush Marshall. As the champion of the attenders, I'm not going to let you know how many round tables I've been in, but it's significant larger than Marshall. Marshall will have to say prayers if he ever wants to get a hold of it.
Well, what's so interesting is, I mentioned earlier that Marshall and I have talked a lot. So a couple times when we talked to each other, he would say, "We can't get a hold of Ed. Would you please call Ed and ask him this? Would you please call Ed and ask him that?" So do you return Marshall's phone calls?
Well, yes, because Marshall is the telephone calls I don't attend are the telemarketers. And I usually get hung up on, and if I think they can still hear me, I know they can't, they will all be told what I think of them. I'll hang up on them because I know they've already cut me off. And I tell them I don't take those calls.
Well, thank you so much.
Now, how do I know? Because they can't pronounce my name. So I'm ready to tell them. I'm already working on my response.
Yes. That's a good one.
Well, you did a fabulous job, as you always do. Please, a round of applause for...
This year, we have more candidates than ever before. And it was a pleasure to see all these people who were vying very hard to win the most prestigious award known to mankind, the Confederate Purple Heart. Now, ladies, do not swoon. I know that this is more than you can handle, but this is the award of awards. And it goes to those people who manage on the battlefield to do the dumbest things we can think of. And we've had some dumb things. Now, I don't want to delay the festivities that we are about to see. So I'm gonna cut it a little short this year, and I'm only gonna repeat a few of the things that have been done by those winners who are with us tonight. And a lot of the winners aren't here. Some of them, unfortunately, are not with us any longer. But let's start with Colonel Bars. Now, many years ago, we visited South Mountain Battlefield, and it was pouring rain. Now, at South Mountain, there was a restaurant with an outdoor eating facility that has a roof but no sides. And everybody on the tour got off the bus in the pouring rain and ran under the roof so that they were protected from the rain. Everybody but our chief guide, Colonel Bars. He was standing out in the rain lecturing. And the whole time that he was lecturing, there was a drain pipe coming down from the roof, pouring gallons of water on his head. And Ed never blinked an eye and just kept on telling us about the battle. And that won him the Confederate Purple Heart. Well deserved. And then, of course, there's Joe Weishart, the great Joe Weishart, who was supposed to pick up Dick McAdoo at the airport. Dick gets off the plane, there's no Joe. Where's Joe? Dick goes into the terminal, and there's Joe laying on a bench, sound asleep, with an alarm clock on his chest that's scheduled to go off when Dick's plane arrives. On that same tour, Joe managed to be somewhere when the bus left with Joe not on it. So for those two things, he won the Confederate Purple Heart. Now also, there's Dick McAdoo himself. Now we won't talk, oh yeah we will, about Gettysburg. And Dick didn't win it there. He should have, but he didn't. Because what happened was, we were at the famous sniper's den. You've all heard the story, I think. We were at the famous sniper's den. Ed was lecturing, and he asked for someone to crawl over the fence and portray the dead sniper laying behind the rock. And Marvin Sanderman, may he rest in peace, beloved Marvin, volunteered and crawled over the fence and laid down. And of course, Marvin's avoirdupois managed to stay sticking up while he laid down. And Ed finished lecturing and asked for any questions, and Dick McAdoo raised his hand and said the immortal words, "Ed, how long does it take for a body to bloat like that?" So we didn't give it to Dick, we gave it to Marvin, because he was the bloated body. Now, we could also mention someone else who was serving as second guide on the tour of Gettysburg and was lecturing away on Longstreet's flank march and happened to back into an electric fence. A shocking incident. We won't mention who that was, will we? No. Very handsome gentleman. Yeah, right. Okay, right. And then, of course, Dick McAdoo himself won the Purple Heart. Walking through the tall fields on the battlefield, when he got home, he found that something had come home with him, a tick. And it was located on a very, very sensitive part of his anatomy which will go unnamed at this moment because there are ladies present. But we have no pictures of Dick removing the item. That brings us to this year. The amount of candidates, as I said, is numerous. Too many to mention all of them, but certainly we had Frank O'Connell, who tried to have a war with the mirror on the bus, and his head lost. But that's not a winner. That's not good enough. Then we had the two gentlemen who managed to encounter trees and roots. We had Harold, and Harold managed to trip on a root twice, and that caused a serious injury to his hand. And then, of course, Bob, good old Bob. Bob managed to hit his head on a low-hanging branch. It was the first time anything had knocked sense into his head, but we won't go there. Right?
Right.
Right. But both of those latter two incidents drew blood. So we don't give it to anybody who actually draws blood. Now, we certainly have to consider the impending nuptials as a possible winner, but I don't want to ruin their happiness with this beautiful award, which could certainly drive a schism between them as to who really deserves it more. So we're not going to do that. No, we do have a winner, however. And I'll tell you the truth, in all the years I've given this out, I'm giving it tonight to someone who I've wanted to give it to for years and years. And I am going to love every possible minute of this. I will tell you that there would happen to be an occasion where someone had a little misstep and caused some soil to be attached to the derriere. I want to show you, this is what she was sitting on for the rest of the day. Get up here, Nancy. I cannot tell you how much pleasure it gives me to give this to you.
Bless your heart, Marshall. Not as much as I am in having him to win this. This is wonderful. Thank you. I thought I would have won it the first year.
What did you do then?
I sat with Bill Sullivan on this.
Oh.
But that was the year that Joe stole the whole thing. So.
Well, and Sully would have got insulted, although he deserved it. May rest in peace.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you all for your attention. On to better festivities.
Ceremony. So what I'm wearing right now is called a kittle. It's white gown. So as the bride is dressed in white, so is the groom. Like really represents purity and also a beginning. Because we also wear it on the high holidays, where we're kind of in a pure state. Right? So after the ceremony begins, the groom is standing under the chuppah. The chuppah begins. The chuppah began. It's kind of like a house. And it's also like Abraham's tent. It was open on all sides. It welcomes anybody. And so the groom stands underneath it. And then the bride comes and walks around him 7 times. And that's what's representing the start of a new home. Like she's building walls around a home. They're going to share it together. Okay? After that is the next step is like the betrothal. Right? And then over a glass of wine, 2 prayers are said. And usually it's wine because that represents joy and happiness. So the wine is always included.
Did you guys get your, are there enough copies to go with that site? Yep,
Yes.
they all have copies. Okay.
90 copies.
Just making sure.
Okay, I'm sorry, just making sure.
Once a true chairman, always a true chairman. Okay, so after the betrothal ceremony, then I give her a ring. Right? Judaism is kind of chauvinistic. She doesn't give me one back. I just give it to her. And then the marriage contract is read. And that's, the marriage contract will say that the oaths we are making to each other. Right? And then after the marriage contract is read, there's 7 blessings said. We'll also set over a cup of wine, and the theme of the blessings link the bride and groom to the faith of God and bestowal of love, joy, and the ultimate redemption. Yeah. And then finally, there's a glass that I step on and break, right? And that's so we should remember the destruction of the temple, that there should be, a little sadness, because, because as Jews we're not, we belong in Israel and in Jerusalem, and since we're not there, the temple doesn't exist anymore. It's not a perfect world. So hopefully one day that will happen. And as they say that in Jeff sometimes it's said that this is the last time the groom gets to put his foot down. But also there's another tradition where at the dinner the groom has a little talks about a little bit of scripture. So I will do that right now. When they were building the tabernacle in the desert, when every part was completed, Moses would give a blessing to each part. And then finally, when it was finished, he'd give a blessing on the entire structure. And when God created the world, each day he blessed, so it was good. And finally, at the end, he also blessed all of creation. So the sages asked, why is there 2 blessings? If each part is good, why do you need another blessing afterwards? They explained that while each part may be good, really the blessing is so they should all work together as a unit and work together in harmony. Right? So in a marriage, you can say that the bride is a great person, and she's kind and she's good. You can say the groom's a great guy, he works hard. But the person is going to work together and build a family together. So as I say, even though she's a Confederate, I'm a Yankee, we're betting that a house divided will stay.
I never thought I'd be marrying a Yankee. You must be special.
So for the first blessing, we're going to have Fred Levinson. Please.
Who creates the fruit of the body. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments, and has commanded us concerning forbidden unions. Who forbade the betrothed women to us, and permitted women who are married to us through Chuppah and Kedusha. Blessed art thou, God, who makes you holy through Chuppah and Kedusha.
Behold, you are consecrated to me by this ring according to the rituals of Moshe and Israel. Okay.
Mr. Roger, what? Oh. We're gonna read the Ketubah, which is a marriage contract. We'll read it in English.
There we go. So this is the Ketubah, the Jewish wedding ceremony contract. With the Jews are lawyers.
Have you reviewed this first?
Right, yeah. No lawyers were harmed in the making of this. We witnessed that on the first day of the week, the 11th day of the month of Jihar, in the year 5777, corresponding to the 6th day of May, 2017, here in Richmond, Virginia, USA, the bride Ray Ann Radovich, daughter of Raymond and Elaine Radovich, and the groom Mark Simon Kunis, son of Arthur and Bila Kunis, entered into the sacred covenant of marriage. Standing under the huppah, the bride and groom said to each other, "You are consecrated to me as my spouse with this ring, according to the laws of Moses and Israel." The groom and the bride undertake this pledge of love. They choose each other as friends according to the teachings of our ancestors who said, "Acquire a friend with whom you will learn, next to whom you will sleep, and in whom you will confide." They consecrate each other and will always be true to each other. They take on all the duties and rights of family members towards each other. They promise to lead a life of justice and loving kindness in their family and community till the end, in accordance with the verse, "Let me be a seal upon your heart, like the seal upon your arm." The bride and groom acknowledge the responsibilities of this covenant and solemnly accept the obligations herein. This ketubah is valid and binding, and after the ceremony they will sign it with two witnesses. You're going to have to determine who your witnesses are.
Great.
Okay. We call Fred Levin. To read the third blessings, or 7 blessings. We call up Roger Budovich. Budovich. How am I reading this? Blessed are you, Lord, our God, sovereign of the world, who creates the fruit of the vine. Blessed are you, Lord, our God, sovereign of the world, who has created all things for his glory. Blessed are you, Lord, our God, sovereign of the universe, who creates mankind. Blessed are you, Lord, our God, sovereign of the universe, who created mankind in his image, fastening eternal life. Blessed are you, Lord, creator of mankind. May Jerusalem, who is left bereft of her children, now delighted her children gathered together in joy. Blessed are you, Lord, who gladdened Zion with her children. Grant perfect joy to the bride and groom, as you did your creations in the Garden of Eden. Blessed are you, Lord, who grants joy to this bride and groom. Blessed are you, Lord, our God, sovereign of all the universe, who created you and gladness, brides and grooms, mirth, song, delight and rejoicing, love and harmony, and peace and companionship. Soon, Lord our God, may there be heard in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem voices of joy and gladness, voices of loving couples, the jubilant voices of those joined in marriage under the bridal canopy, the voice of young people feasting and singing. Blessed are you, Lord, who causes the couples to rejoice together. rise. So, when it breaks, everyone yells Mazel Tov.
I will tell you, I want to give special thanks to Jerry Allen because in 2008, Jerry Allen asked me to be the Civil War round table person at the Memphis airport to greet everyone and to tell them where to catch the shuttle bus. So just so you know, I greeted Marcus and his father Art. And little did I know, by your asking me to greet everyone, you changed my entire life. Okay, back to the bar.
Let's write it all over.